Hello and welcome to In Our House.
If you haven't seen this before, here is what you can expect.
Some highlights from last series.
You're watching In Our House on Big Centre TV.
This is an Anglo-Saxon helmet, and it's got the nose guard to protect your nose and these parts to protect the side of your face.
The shopping centre cost £600 million and the station another £150 million. That's £750 million altogether. Let's go see if it's worth it.
So this is a dewlap, and what they do with that is they can actually extend it, and it just makes them look even bigger.
I get a new pair of guards maybe every 6 months, and it takes me a good month for them to wear in.
I'm Callum, you're watching TNT News.
The last of the familiar old-style trams has been taken out of service on the Metro line. We were invited to travel on the last tram, known as the T69. You're watching In Our House, thanks for watching, and now, this.
So the Spitfire is one of the first air fixes, but what about this one?
This is a Red Arrows Nat. This is one of our most popular releases. We've had a Nat in the range since its inception in the 1960s.
I love how they just stuff.
Fish fingers have been a tea time treat for generations of children.
And now for something completely different.
This is a picture of a statue of a man in Munich in Germany.
Nobody's really sure what the man is supposed to represent.
Well, he definitely stands out because he's 56 feet tall.
Wow. He was made in sections in California.
Pac-Man was actually released in 1980, so by then it was a couple of years old. But before this machine had come around, if you wanted to play Pac-Man, you had to go to the arcades. So it was actually quite difficult for a lot of people. When it was available on home computers to play, it meant that we could all play it at home, and that was fantastic.
The government hoped to see an 80% reduction in plastic bag use. You've no doubt seen this poster in your local supermarket.
In a survey, 62% of adults in England have agreed that the 5p charge is reasonable.
From 0 to 1,000 miles an hour, 25 seconds, and to slow down, another 25 seconds.
Recently, TNT visited the pet show at the NEC. So each week we'll be showing you a different creature.
This week we're going very slowly because we're looking at tortoises.
This is Bronte and she's only 18. So she's still a very young tortoise. She could possibly live well over 100 years. So she can live to be 150, let's hope. She's a giant African sulcata. So giant African sulcata tortoise. So originates in Africa. They don't hibernate. So lots of them in this country at the moment. And we have to find, because they don't hibernate in the winter, we have to find somewhere nice to keep them warm.
Do you have a rough idea of how
They're not endangered now because they're doing really well in the pet trade.
So, how long in tortoise years is 18 years?
I think it's probably the same as our years. I think it's probably the same.
So how big could it grow?
At the moment she weighs, I think, about 70 to 80 kilos. She does the main part of her growing in the first 15 years of her life. and she's still growing. So I don't know how long. They never stop growing. She's still growing small amounts every year. But as she, she's still only a baby. She's only 18 and she could live to be 150. So she's still a very young girl. They need lots of chalk to make them grow healthy.
How many babies would it have at one time?
They can lay 26 eggs in each clutch, and when the babies hatch, this is how small. Well, this baby is a year old now, and they can have. So they do have lots of babies, and they do breed well in the United Kingdom. So this one is a year old, this one is 18-year-old. So when you go and buy something like this, you have to be sure that you know what species you're buying.
Is it heavy?
No, it'll grow really quickly. So if you start off with something this small, in a few years' time you'll have something this big. So you have to make sure that you need a field for her to live in when she's adult. So it's okay when it's this small, she can live in a small garden, but by the time she gets like this, she really needs a field. Lots of people will see this baby tortoise and think that they're buying a tortoise that everybody knows that grows fully sized to this big, and then in a few years they realise that the mistake's been made and they've bought a giant species. So it's very important when you buy a baby tortoise to know what species the baby is.
Would it be impossible to part them with their owner? Would it be easy?
They're not attached. Bronte was used to live in Manchester, and unfortunately she outgrew her home. So she came into us and now lives in Norfolk. But they really are attached to their food more than their owners.
Tortoises are fussy eaters. There are lots of things that they couldn't eat, like kale, bagged salad, spinach, apples, strawberries, tomatoes, cabbage or cucumber. Tortoises are lactose intolerant, so you wouldn't feed them milk or cheese.
It's the time you've all been waiting for, the jokes.
Boo.
What do you call a magic agent? James Wand.
What's the difference between a piano and a fish? You can tune a piano, but you can't tune a fish. I felt like I was on The Voice today, because I sneezed on the bus and 4 people turned round.
Why did the girl put butter on the road? To go with the traffic jam.
What's a foot long
And makes you sneeze? Achoo!
Exactly 120 years ago, the first Olympics was held in Athens. Can you guys guess the 9 sports? Okay, first.
Running.
100 meter sprint.
Sit down.
Okay, cycling.
Cycling. Oh, cycling! Boxing.
Fencing.
Fire. Firing arrows.
No.
Trot. Firing.
Shooting. There.
Swimming. Boxing. Oh, that's tennis.
Tennis, yeah. Weightlifting. Do you know how to do this one?
Karate or something.
No. Imagine there's another person here.
Pushing
What?
people.
Tug of war. Oh, boxing.
Hitting people. Wrestling. Wrestling.
You can stop now.
Wrestling. Wrestling.
And thinking.
Ballet. Gymnastics? Yeah, that's what I was going to say because I heard you say it earlier.
And those were the 9 Olympic sports.
You're watching In Our House from TNT News. I hope you can't hear the rain, it's a bit noisy. Now, this.
We've been doing the egg designing competition, as you can see here. It can be any theme, and it's just based on eggs. It has to include eggs. And I started this school at nursery, and now I'm in year 6. And and we've been doing this every year. This is my sister's one. It's based on the theme home, and it's used eggs for the heads and that. And then this is my one. It's based on an app called WhatsApp, and the eggs are emojis inside a big phone. This is a CSI, a crime scene investigation, and they're all excellent. Afterwards, we have an egg rolling competition in the playground.
It's an egg experience that's not easily forgotten, and it's a long-running tradition too here at Slade Road Primary School, as Easter term ends in excitement, and it is a yoking matter.
The idea is that they boil an egg at home and bring it into school, so each child has the opportunity to take part. Some of the teachers bring some extra boiled eggs in, and the whole idea is that they stand on a line and they roll it, although some do throw it, down the hill, and the furthest one wins the prize. We do this because it builds teamwork with the children, a lot of camaraderie. They really are into cheering their classmates on.
The winner is no doubt egg-static, and that's no exaggeration. Some crack under the pressure and are quickly given the brush off.
Are you ready? Roll it and follow it. Stay where you are, because I need to see.
It's an exercise that's definitely all it's cracked up to be. This is half a dozen at Slade Road School.
Here we have a limited offer for students only. A steak burger meal for only £2.50.
What a mistake to make about steak, the one you put in the ground rather than you eat. Now for some new features on In Our House.
Yes, we'll be looking at places that you would like to visit.
Starting with the South, Staffordshire, Regiment, Museum. Here's Mina.
The South Staffordshire Regiment Museum is near Cannock, and it's popular with children who are studying World War II. Oliver reports.
Hello, my name is Oliver and I'm here at the South Staffordshire Museum to find out more about World War II. We went to the museum with our school because we have been doing about World War II. The lady showed us some great artefacts and we were able to look at all the sorts of things. If you didn't know anything about the war before you went there, you'd been fascinated by everything and found it really good. But we had spent a long time doing the war at school, so we had already seen most of the things, and so we answered almost every question that she asked us.
I'm a volunteer in the education team at the Staffordshire Regiment Museum. We actually take parties of school children and actually other adult groups as well. We'll take all sorts of groups of visitors around and we get involved in other events that we have, for example, a night in the trenches or Christmas in the trenches when we have a carol service. And our aim is to try and demonstrate to people the role of the soldier throughout history, and particularly we concentrate with school groups and quite often with visitors to our trench on the First World War and also on the Second World War. We're especially fortunate to have a recreated First World War trench, both a British section and a small German section, so we are able to take people through that and give them an idea of what trench life was like for the Tommy. Looking at a regimental aid post and an officer's dugout, and we're able to, we have a tunnel, so people are actually able to go underground, so that we can give people an experience of the tunnelling war, which is not very well known, and that's our main aim really, is just to make sure that the memory of all the soldiers is not forgotten, and that we're able to give people an experience of a little bit of living history. It's called the bolt, right? Push the bolt forward like that. So there's 2 of these, there's 5 in each one, so how many rounds am I going to put in the rifle?
10.
10. I'm going to put 10 rounds in the rifle. Push them down there. And if you're a good soldier, you can do that really fast and you can aim at the same time, which I can't. Rifle. Now lots and lots of these rifles were made in Birmingham. Did you hear anything when you were doing your studies about the Birmingham Small Arms Company, the VSA?
We hadn't been able to handle the guns before, so that was really exciting, but some people got a bit scared, but I didn't.
Airborne here.
Some of the guns were really heavy, and it must have been difficult for soldiers who had to use them.
My sleeve is too big.
We all enjoyed using the uniforms. This was great fun, and we went on a parade. Back inside, we found about rationing and toured the museum looking at the exhibits. We liked looking at the museum because of all the models, and the soldiers must have been a lot of strength to survive the war.
Okay.
And on the rifle, there's sort of a silencer.
One thing we couldn't do at school was going to a real shelter.
I'd take something that's
showcase.
Oh, at the end you've got a bed. Now do you see that bit there where the light's coming through, just on the end there?
Yeah.
Sorry. That's an escape hatch, so that if there was debris in front of the door and you couldn't get out there, you could try and crawl out through that little escape hatch. And you bring all those things down here that you talked about. You might have little bunk beds, and we've got a table there so you can put your little sandwiches and you can play with your puzzles and your teddy. You have a bucket in the corner so you can go to the toilet, because obviously you can't go out during the raid, so you want somewhere to have a wee, don't you? So you've got a little bucket in the corner, and you'd stay here maybe for 13 hours, 12 hours, you might be stuck down here. Some people only came down when there was a raid. Some people decided that they preferred to come down the shelter anyway, whether there was a raid or not. And you've done your job all day, and then in the evenings and in the weekends you have to do duty in the Home Guard. So you're sent out here for several hours to man a machine gun in one of these posts, or you're manning a gun in the pillbox. So you're sent out here on top of all your other work, and then you go home when you've done all this, and you get up the next day and you go back and do your job. So people must have been very, very tired, mustn't they, doing all this work. So these were defending the country.
Well, I like the trip to the museum because we gone with these special people that show us around.
I liked best holding the guns and seeing what it was like to have rationing available.
I learned a lot new more things about World War II, and I really enjoyed the Anderson shelters because all 14 people can fit.
And we looked at a bomb.
We like the Anderson shelters because when you went in, you've never really been in an Anderson shelter before, and you got to see what it looks like.
And you can't really imagine sleeping in there.
Yeah, because it's just benches.
I liked where we could use the wear on the uniforms and hold the rifles and all those guns.
I liked rationing, and I liked all the food.
We got to wear hats and uniform, and we went outside to look outside.
I loved all the statues that there were and all the comments about them.
And like to explore around and go under the trenches.
And the best part was when we would get to pass the rifles around.
5 libraries are going to have their children's sections renovated. Norman reports.
This is a tale of a library. Once upon a time, one winter's day, in a rather tatty library, someone said, "Let's have a tidy up." But then suddenly, well, supposing that we could create a new room for William. "Wow," said Thomas and the library lady and Mo, the libraryman.
We're going to create an exciting and inviting space. We're going to refurbish a children's area at Small Heath Library, which will encourage more children to come and enjoy reading, taking part in activities, and generally having learning and fun time.
Well, altogether 5 libraries are involved in this scheme: Balsall Heath, Druid Heath, Kings Norton, King's Standing, and this library here at Small Heath.
We'll be introducing much more new technology in the library for children to use. For example, we'll have equipment for children to learn to code on. We will also have digital cameras where they could do small photography projects and video aspects of their projects.
At times of financial cutbacks, you might think it's surprising that the libraries are getting this new investment, but the money has come from the Wolfson Foundation, and they put in £250,000. "That's amazing," said Grace. "Whatever next?" "That'll raise Eleanor's eyebrows," said Bright Stanley.
All this work is going to take a bit of time, but hopefully it will be exciting. We'll have soft furnishing for children and parents to sit and relax. There'll be new shelving, there'll be new carpets and new lighting, and it will also be decorated. So I would like everyone to be patient, and it will all be worthwhile in the end.
So sooner or later, Alfie and the big boys, maybe not Norman, will be able to look back and say they've been able to do it in style.
So guys, it's time for the mystery picture of the week. Do you guys know where this picture is?
No. No idea.
Sorry. I'll give you one clue. It's in the Black Country.
Is it a school?
No.
The answer is, it's the old library in Tipton.
So guys, we've finally finished our first program of the new series in spite of the rain. So that's it from us. Goodbye and thanks for watching.